This is part two of my career retrospective clips with the Metal Maniac Jeff Miller, an episode I did exclusively for YouTube around this time 3 years ago in 2020. It's a 3-hour special. It was a career retrospective on YouTube, but I've picked some clips over 2 episodes. This is episode 157 with the Metal Maniac Jeff Miller. There's loads of stories again about his mentor Jimmy Snuka, Ricky Steamboat refereeing one of his matches, and so much more. So we're going to go into loads of clips now. And here we go, episode 157 with the Metal Maniac, Jeff Miller.
This is what we got. But, there were guys that tried to take advantage, and then there were guys we tried to help, like Tommy Fierro. We always try to help Tommy because we all just got along with Tommy, Tommy Fierro. I'm sure you must have heard of him.
Absolutely have. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, so I know Tommy since he's 16 years old, and we've snuck him into the bar. Me, Sheik, and Jimmy, we snuck him into the bar, and his first time he ever got drunk was with us. And he's leaning up against the wall, and he was tired, and we drop him off at his house, and at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, his mother was waiting at the door, waiting for him, and took him inside. He was drunk as a skunk. And he'll tell you, if you talk to him, he'll tell you he was drunk as a skunk. Me, Jimmy, and Sheik, we're all doing shots of that coconut rum. Mm-hmm. So it's just funny. It's just great stories. Yeah, I'll tell you another one. So I never worked with the Road Warriors, but I knew them real good. And Joseph didn't, like to smoke weed and didn't really like to get buzzed. So I was always around Hawk because I never did blow, but I always like to smoke a doob, have a beer, meet some girls, have fun. So we're in Atlantic City, and we work a show, and after the show, Buff Bagwell's there, Big Samu, the Barbarian, Jimmy's son, myself, whole bunch of guys, and there's Stan Hansen. There's a big card, the Road Warriors. So Hawk knows me from Hawaii, so he's like, brother, man, come on. Jimmy's fine. You don't have to worry about it. He's right in the same hotel. Jimmy, you all right? I'm going to take him with us. Yeah, take him, brother. Show him what's going on. So picture Animal. We're drunk. We're walking across the street in Atlantic City with all the lights going and cars going real slow on the boulevard. Music's in the middle of the night. And a car is driving down the road towards us. And it just happened to have on their Black Sabbath and the Iron Man. And the car is slowing down, and it's loud, and the car's like a muscle car, and you hear, I am Iron Man, as it's coming. As soon as that happened, Hawk is in the middle of the street. The guy comes to a complete stop because he's going slow anyway. And he rips off his shirt and he goes, what a ride. And the guy's like, holy shit, it's Hawk. Holy shit, it's Hawk. So we had to go back. Somebody had to ask the guys inside the hotel. Everybody got a shirt. Hawk ripped his shirt. We need a shirt so we can get into this other bar. So somebody switched shirts. And somebody's sitting at the bar with a shirt over a ripped shirt. So funny. We had good times, It just, the business can be very fun. At the same time, bad things can happen, like in the Middle East when they don't want to pay you. Mm-hmm. And these guys come in with guns. You go to a place, they could kill you. They could just kill you. They're misprinted as compared to the original one where
they were actually listed.
Sabu had been around and had a contract, but was out of a contract at that time. and then me, and then those are the only two guys that did not have a contract that was in that book with a picture, the very first one. And then from there, 1992's Pro Wrestling Rookie of the Year, voted most busiest wrestler of the year, 92, 93, 94. Next to Sabu, I was number 2 out of 10 in a magazine called The Best 10 Heels You Never Heard of.
Mm-hmm.
All from, there was a thing called the introducing file in the Wrestler magazine. Most guys wait 8, 10 years. He wasn't but sick within 5-6 months, which means 8 weeks prior is when they had the idea and put the picture in and did the article and went to print, because they don't do it the day before in print, that they do it in advance. So I walked into business in January of 91, and then by, summer, people all over the world are looking at these magazines. When I went to Texas, there were guys going, "Oh, this is you? Oh, shit, that's cool." And they hadn't been in magazines, and these were guys that were...
Yeah, man. Yeah.
These are guys that were heavy duty down at Global. There were some guys down there that turned out to be big names, but that were in the magazines. So, and then, Booker T, I never worked with him, but Booker T was down there. He was nice. I never got to know his brother. I only got to meet... Booker T wouldn't remember me now, but you know who does remember me, and I love very much, is Too Cold Scorpio. I don't call him Too Cold. I call him Mr. Freeze. He's Mr. Freeze, brother. He's not Too Cold. He is Mr. Freeze.
I need to get Too Cold on. I need to have it on.
Well, I can tell you right now. I can give you his information. And I can tell you this. I'll tell you, and you can repeat it, because he's heard this from me before. Working with him was like a nice ice cold cream pie on a Sunday afternoon. He was just as smooth and cool. I mean, just so cool. Too Cold doesn't describe how cool he is. Mr. Breeze. That's how cool he is. And I always call him, "There's Mr. Freeze, brother. Look at you, daddy. You just is." Well, what he did was we were working this card in Fresno, California in 1998, 1999, so 2000, somewhere around 2000, 2001, somewhere right there. And we're out in California, and we're at this big hotel, and I'm going to work twice. I'm working as Doink in the first match, and then I'm going to come out later as the Metal Maniac. So I was making a double payoff. So I work with these young kids in this 4-man, in a 6-man tag, Doink, and then I do the ass bump on the kid. And, just a little one. I don't hurt him. 1, 2, 3. The place loves it. I did the buckets of water, the buckets of confetti, and the silly string. I did all of that. I did all that stuff. So I did it, just like the way he did it. And so I get dressed, and I come back as the Maniac. So that night, the day of, he walks up to me. I don't know we're working together. It didn't matter who I worked with. He walks up to me and he says, "Hey, man, this is a guy now. This is Too Cold. He's a badass in real life. He is nobody's fool. He is exceptionally talented and expects people who work with him to, be sharp, be on it. Otherwise, he'll just finish you off and just go home, So he comes up to me. We're all drinking at the bar, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, it's me and you tomorrow." I'm like, "Wow, really? Oh, man, I've always wanted to work with you. This is great. I'm so happy." He goes, "Listen, I know you've been with the best, man. My fucking hero. He says, I can do any of Jimmy's moves, any. I said, I know you can. He goes, yeah, but brother, I want a Jimmy Snuka match. I said, well, do you want the A match, the B match, or do you want it all? He goes, oh no, I want it all. I want it all. I said, do you want me just to call it in there? Or do you want me to just go through it once and I'll call it in there? He said, go through it once. I'm just dying to hear what it is. And I just go through the match. I just go through it. I just tell him what it is. Brother, guy's fantastic. The guy's just fantastic.
He was ahead of his time. I said that when I was a kid, when I used to watch him. He was just incredible, and he's still going. He's still going now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's still going, and you know, look, there are certain people on this earth who are extremely special.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of them. Not just because of how humble he is out of the ring, but because he is so talented and is humble. It's a double positive. And if you can't get along with this man, seriously, there's something wrong with you, because he is just, he's just fun. I mean, he doesn't get up in the morning and say, fucking coffee sucks. He doesn't say that. He gets up in the morning and he's like, man, it's good to be alive. That's him. He doesn't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to say, fuck the world. I hate everybody. He's not that kind of guy. He's just cool. He's just cool, So if you can't get along with him, but whatever. So, a great guy. But on, and there's another thing. I don't know if did you read Jimmy's biography?
I've not. To be fair, Jeff, I've not. That's one I need to read. I will.
You should read it. You know why? I say you should read it. You know why you should read it? Not for this other stuff, but for the positive stuff. But also, I'm in it. Now, I haven't read it because it was my life. I lived it.
Yeah.
I lived it. So I don't know what's in it, but I'm sure I can give you all the backstories on whatever is in it when it came to me.
Mm-hmm.
I did see a quote where he said that, Jeff was from Hawaii and we made some money together. But I said to Carol, I was only in the book a little bit. She goes, what are you talking about? You're like a whole chapter. I'm like, really? I said, was it good? She goes, yeah, it was good. I mean, but I don't know if it was good, bad, because the writer who was doing it with Jimmy, those words weren't Jimmy's words. Those were his words, this guy. So for all I know, Jimmy could have said something totally different, and he wrote what he wrote. But I don't know, because I didn't read it. I have to see, what was said and what was done. But like I said, I didn't read it because I'm in. Excuse me. The only other, I've had compliments from guys, but I'll tell you the most, other than from Jimmy, obviously, and from Barbarian and all the people that really, Tito gave me some compliments on my work over the years. He came up to me, I think it was August of 2017. We worked the show and we came back and he goes, look. I'm like, what happened? He goes, no, look. I'm looking. I'm like, I don't know what to look for. What am I looking for? He goes, no sweat. I didn't sweat. I didn't sweat with you. I did not sweat with you. Nothing. Everything was just, you called it all. We just did it. It was perfect. Fantastic. Thank you. So those are nice compliments, but I think the nicest compliment I ever got, I think, was Jim Cornette was booking for Dennis Coralluzzo. Dennis Coralluzzo had NWA New Jersey, who got screwed over big time. But those guys were really good friends. And I love Dennis. We all love Dennis. All the young guys who wrestled for Dennis shows. I gave Dennis the idea of, look, let me go out and get tables for people to buy to be at your show. Let me organize that. I'll pay for my gas and everything else. We split everything down the middle, and I'll do my own printing. We split the gas, we split the car, and everything else is fine. I said, okay. So we did it, and we really did a fine job at putting a show together. He had his girls working for him, and his daughter worked for him, and his son working for him. And then I was out, doing a fundraiser because he had the local Knights of Columbus that was involved with it. So, you're trying to raise money because the Knights, they go out to Toys for Tots. They do stuff for children, for the homeless. They make food for them and buy food and cook food. So it was one of those deals. And I was working with this guy, Gino Caruso, really nice guy, great guy out of the Northeast. He's a trainer he's the ECPW1.com, but ECPW, East Coast Championship, East Coast Pro Wrestling. And he's been there as long as I've been around, and then some. And Rocky Jones was the guy who ran it before that, but then, Gino took it over. And Mr. Italy, Gino Caruso, and I was working with him, and Dennis said, listen, put the Metal Maniac over. He's been working his ass off all week here, all month here, and he did good for us. We were able to pay all the bills with just our half, and the rest of the monies that we made for the show, our profits. So when we were able to still give the percentage that was promised to, the Knights for, using their name to raise funds. And everybody was happy. And I said to Jim Cornette, I said, don't put me over. He's like, don't put you over. Dennis wants to put you over. I said, listen, if you put me over, it's going to dud. But if Gino goes over, everybody's happy. Good guys, bad guys, winners and losers. It doesn't help me to go over. It ruins my heat. It ruins it because you can't take my heat. I could lose every night and still get heat because I work psychological wrestling. And then you have, Mr. Italy, who's a wrestler, but he can also do psychological wrestling. And I said, look, he's a babyface. You're going to kill his gimmick. Why kill his gimmick? You don't need to, and you don't need to put me over. And he said to me, I know we don't really know each other that well, and I don't even know whether I like you or not. He said, but what you just said was the most correct thing I've ever heard in this business. And if our business thought the way you just said, we'd be in such a much better place in wrestling. So that was a big deal. I have two other ones, though. The other ones were really sweet, where Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was a special guest referee in a match with me and Jimmy, and I started getting under his skin a little bit on purpose to get him excited. I start pushing him, pointing my finger at him, moving my hand away, and I start doing it. I said, listen, so I'll kick your ass, old man. I'm telling you right now, his eyeballs popped out of his head, So then the finish comes, and he's involved in it. Jimmy tells him, double chop me, but double chop me, and bang, you backbreaker him, I'm gonna splash him, count him fast. So he just goes on the fly. Jimmy, he knows, Steamboat knows what to do. He's listening. So boom, boom, that happens. Double chop. They both double chop. He picks me up, backbreakers me, tells Jimmy, go to the top. Gets down to those Jimmy's fingers. Then fucking Jimmy splashes me. And he gets down there 1, 2, 3 instead of doing like what he was doing, the whole match, right? So at the beginning of the night, I spoke to him, said, how are you, sir? Nice to meet you. I have it pretty much done. We're talking to Jimmy, and he sees that Jimmy's listening, so he's going to listen. But I asked him instead of Jimmy, I said, brother, I'd like to go from here to there. Can you help me get there? He said, sure, do this, do that. But once I got him in there, I really started like poke him in his chest. And he didn't like it. He didn't like it. But at the end, he went in and he told Jimmy, he said, brother, what are you kidding me? I taught this kid. He's just having fun with you. He loves you. He's like, really? So when I came in, he goes, you had me, kid. God damn it, you had me. Which is the big deal, because to have Ricky the Dragon say you were pissed at him, or you were looking to get cute. He thought I was trying to get cute, like, and take advantage of him in the ring. He did. He told me. And another one, at the end, he was hugging me. Another one was Ken Patera. Ken Patera was doing talking in 1995 at this thing that is on the internet. You could buy it, which is free, but I'll show you where it's free. It's something called Grandmasters of Wrestling 2. It was in the dollar bins at the Walmart. It was the highest, not grossing, but highest selling wrestling DVD in the history of wrestling. And it still is. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records. And it was in the dollar bin, and I'm working against Jimmy. But if you go to YouTube and you just go all one word, no capitals, no spaces, just 808 Metal Maniac, you will, or Metal Maniac versus Jimmy Snuka. And you're going to see part 1 and part 2. Well, that's the match without the openings. So, because that guy made tapes of us and never had a release to sell them. So none of us got a penny. And they were all sold in the dollar store, in the dollar bins. So if you would have got a penny, it would have been a lot. Crowbar was in there as Devin Storm when he first started. He was like in the opening match
of Crowbar.
So Crowbar from WCW, Chris. But that was when he was like 16, 17 years old. He was wrestling his match. So Ken Patera, I keep coming back to him, and I keep yelling at him, and I keep on him. And every time I do something that Jimmy sells, I keep coming back to him. And you can hear him on the microphone saying, hey, Maniac, if you keep poking your finger in my face, there's nothing in between me and you and opportunity, because I will take this bell and crack it right over your head. And he was getting annoyed because I kept coming over and I kept getting closer to him. And then I kind of pushed the table in on him and was leaning over at him. And he stood up. He said, what do you think? You're a tough guy? That's what he said to me. And I'm off the mic, but I could hear him. I said, oh, I'm your worst nightmare. Now he's livid. He's livid. He's absolutely livid. So when I go to lose the match, I go into that corner, I go up to the top, and I'm yelling at him, and he's standing up, giving me the up you sign. Jimmy grabs me, throws me off, and he does a flying crossbody because that ring really was the shits. And, so they're all done. It's the last match. Ken Patera's in the back. Jimmy's in the back. Ken Patera goes to Jimmy and said, I'm going to punch this kid in the face as soon as he walks in the door. He goes, brother, what are you talking about? This kid's been working you the whole time. He says, I thought so at first, but when he shoved the table into my chest, he said, brother, he's like, I'm telling you, this kid is not that. When you see him, you're going to know I teach him everything that he knows. And I walked in, Ken Patera was right there with open arms with a big smile on his face. He's like, kid, God damn it, you had me when you shoved the table into my chest. He says, I really was going to crack you with that bell if you came 1 inch closer. I wasn't messing around. I was going to crack you one. I'm telling you. He said, but Jimmy told me it's a gimmick and that you were trying to get me my reaction because you always loved me when I used to do the strongman things he put his back against the wall and they had a van burn out, with his feet holding, and then they hit the front brake and did the rear burnouts. I don't know if you remember those videos when I was a kid. You were probably a little baby yet. He stayed at my house many times.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I've been so fortunate. I worked with Bruno Sammartino's son David,
Yeah.
with Bruno in his corner, and David's like, "Listen, how do you want to go over?" I said, "No, what are you talking about? You're David Sammartino. You're going over. What's wrong with you?" He goes, "Yeah, but I've been out for so long." I'm like, "David, you are David Sammartino. Are you kidding me? Give me a break." He's like, "Really?" I said, "Your father's going to be right there in the corner. Are you going to lose a match?" I said, "There's always a way to do it, and make it look right." I said, No. The people came to see you beat me, and you're going to beat me." He said, "But I haven't done this in so long." I said, "Brother, I'm going to do it all for you." And so we had to finish where I kept on working in Bruno and kept on working Bruno and kept on working Bruno. And Bruno would distract the referee because he kept getting up on the rope. And I'd keep kicking the kid in the balls instead of headbutting him. And then the heat was on the referee, and it started to get hotter and hotter and hotter. I spit up in the air towards Bruno, not at him, but up in the air so he can move out of the way. He moves out of the way and pops up. As soon as he pops up, I charge him. He jumps down, and I spring off, and the kid rolls me up 1, 2, 3, rolls out with his dad, sells it all the way to the locker room. And his father and the son were waiting for me in the back, and they said, "Damn it, that was really great, kid. You're in the business 20 years too late. You should have came in the 70s. I'm like, "Yeah, well, I was 10. Yeah, in the 70s, I was 10. I was doing 10 and 20. I will tell you that one time I saw superstar Billy Graham when I was a kid, and he walked by me. I never knew humans could get that big. And I put my hand on his bicep, and a cop moved my arm. And I could still feel the pipe of his arm in my hand right here. And I got to meet him. And I said, "Superstar." I said, "You are the man." He goes, "No, I used to be." I go, "No. I never knew humans could be as big as you." I said it when you walked by me and I was 9.5, and I put my hand on your arm. I said, "Brother, I can still feel that giant pipe right here." And he looked at me and he hugged me and he goes, "Thank you so much. Thank you so much." Because, he was devastated what they did to him. He was devastated. And it's a shame because in real life, I couldn't believe that he could be beat by Bob Backlund. I thought Bob Backlund was a good middle of the card guy, good tag team guy, that kind of thing. I think they could have kept him going a long time with no belts because people loved him, but they didn't love him that much. And even when they gave him the belt, they still had to have Superstar on the card to support the card because they weren't drawing without him. So that was a mistake. That was just, I guess, Vince Sr. just saying, "I'm not going to be wrong, and I won't be wrong, and I just can't do it." And it's happened to me. Yeah.
Jeff, do you see any of the modern wrestling, or do you not watch it at all?
The last time I watched it was, I would say, 2005, 2008. I did catch a couple of matches here and there when The Rock would do a return, or Stone Cold was doing something special, or Triple H in a main event, or The Undertaker, watch one match, something like that. But I never watched a full card because I could see where things were going. I could tell from looking in people's eyes they were reading, or they didn't know, they were lost. I could tell from the matches that they weren't using psychology, and I could hear from people that really were deep into the business that the numbers were sagging, and they kept sagging, and they've been sagging, and now they're sagging so low that a company that has no idea what to do with $35 billion, and they're nice gentlemen, I'm sure. I mean, if they knew anything about the business, don't you think I'd be doing color commentating? So they don't know about the business. They don't. They think they know. They have been doing well compared to a dead horse. That's not saying much. If
Jeff, we could do this over 4 episodes. All the stories you've got, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for getting the makeup on and everything and doing this today.
No worries. I wanted the people to see me, not just a picture, brother. Wanted to get it full view. Ladies and gentlemen, zoom in, baby, because you are looking at the voice of pro wrestling. And these dummies who got money, who don't call me because they're letting some other guy who sounds like JR work or whatever. Now you give me a break. I know this business in and out. You put me in there, I'd be the next Jesse. It's time for a change. It's time to give somebody a few dollars for a spot to earn a living, take care of their family, who can talk this good. Brother, daddy, brother, can you imagine it? Man, it would be like, wow.